Heavenly Father, we gather here today to celebrate the life and share our memories of Sabrina Soo. She was a dear sister, good friend, precious wife, loving mother, and great example to us all. Just as her life and laughter has lifted our hearts in the past, so too will our memories of her inspire us in the future. We thank you, Lord, for the gift of Sabrina and for the knowledge that we will be reunited in heaven. Amen.
Thank you. Okay. Aloha. Aloha. I was actually ready to make you guys say it again because I didn't think we were doing it good enough, but we'll do it again. Aloha. Aloha. Thank you. Aloha derives from Polynesia, where alo means presence and ha means breath. Together, it is the presence of breath or the breath of life. Aloha is the Hawaiian word used when greeting or parting from someone. Today, I use aloha to greet you all and thank you for attending today's celebration. As we honor and say aloha to my mom, Sabrina Jane Soo, or Mama Soo to many. We knew my mom would want a true celebration and she would have wanted it to start on time. So Mom, I know we said 10 a.m. on the invites. I apologize, sorry for the delay. We actually thought about throwing a legit party with balloons, loud music for dancing, and heavy drinks. Then we started to think about how many people would actually show up and didn't want to have someone chase us on the dance floor to pay their respects. So a Hawaiian red-themed, unconventional celebration of life is where we landed on. And I think this is in her true spirit. Today, we'll share a few memories that really displayed Mom's essence and then end with a moment of loudness in true Mama Soo fashion. And so instead of a moment of silence, we're gonna just cheer and holler and clap, stand up and get loud for her for about 10 seconds. And like I said, it is a celebration of life. So just be prepared mentally that everyone has to be engaged and involved. Or she'll have something to say about it. So my grandparents, Marvis Ladine Shaw and William Dave Shaw, who are no longer with us today, are directly responsible for raising such an amazing, loving, passionate, adventurous, sarcastic, and sassy woman. If anyone knew my grandpa, you know where my mom got her sarcasm from. And let's not forget her brutal honesty. She'd tell you like it is, or at least how she saw it. I remember crying to her when I was 5, as she tried to explain and comfort me around the subject of death. Mom, I don't want you to die. Well, I'm gonna. She instantly replied, whether it's tomorrow or years down the line, it is gonna happen. She hugged me tight and said, but just know that you and Megan will be safe, loved, and cared for. Looking around at everyone who is here today, I think she was right. Mom was passionate and supportive. She was at every single one of Megan's soccer games, rain or shine, screaming at the top of her lungs, woo, 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 woo! And not just for Megan, the entire team, but for the entire team. She didn't miss a basketball game of mine, even when I played at UCLA. I use the air quotes because just because I was on the team didn't mean I played often. But she was there every game, just in case I got in. Heck, my first year, I didn't even wear a uniform, and she was still driving down to LA just in case they made a last-minute decision. She was so supportive. She encouraged me through all my identity crises growing up, allowing me to wear everything from Nike Cortezes in elementary school to all black FUBU jean suits. She was protective. She wouldn't let me go to the movies with my friends unsupervised, but she did take us to R-rated movies. I was embarrassed having her close by all the time, but she ended up being one of the boys, making inappropriate jokes, sharing stories from her high school days, and allowing us to get into some trouble safely. She even gave us the idea to beat up and kidnap our friend Ruben for his 16th birthday. She rented a van and drove us up to San Francisco for lunch at Hooters. What mom would do that, right? She was adventurous. She and my dad never missed an opportunity to travel together, be it on cruises with just my dad or just take the whole family on a trip to Malaysia. She was adventurous in business, from real estate to restaurants, and always treated her employees with compassion. She was fearless, never afraid of taking action. I mean, she tried driving big rig trucks in her 60s. I don't know if you guys do that. To travel, as a way to travel with my dad. She was also adventurous growing up, but what would you expect from a Shaw? I've heard numerous stories of how she would push my grandpa's limits or be a rebel, as you may. Unfortunately, I can't speak on those stories because they're not mine to tell. However, I can share mine. So my senior year in high school, I told her a couple of friends and I wanted to crash Madeira High's prom at this venue, actually. So sorry, Holland Park. Without hesitation, she started coming up with a game plan for us. She took some backup tuxedo shirts and bow ties from Shanghai and told us to wear them. That way we wouldn't need a full tux, and it would look like we just got hot and just wanted to cool down. So we did it and drove the car on the side of the park, hopped the fence, and just blended in. Hindsight, as exhilarating as it wasn't well thought out. Just 3 dudes in a prom with no dates. After about 20 minutes in, my mom calls me, "Spencer, the cops found your car and stopped by the house. Don't worry, I acted oblivious and told them you're at your cousin's, and I'll handle it. Just walk out the front gates in 5 minutes, and I'll be waiting for you in the parking lot. We can get your car tomorrow." Needless to say, Mama Soo was down. Almost think she was living vicariously through me and just found it just as exciting. Mom loved deeply. Of course, she loved my dad, my sister, and myself unconditionally. She loved her parents and her sisters, never passing up an opportunity to just hang out for lunch or going all out for a holiday. She loved her friends, especially those that could keep up with her crude sense of humor. Where are you guys at? She loved all of Megan and I's friends, and our teammates, just as they were her own, hence Mama Soo. My classmates learned all about Chinese New Year through her. However, learned all about Chinese New Year and red packet and what's inside, all the money inside. I think what she was most proud of and absolutely loved was being a Grammy. She took so much pride in spoiling Ryan, Jordan, Alyssa, and our honorary dog, grandkid, Kylo the dog. One of the many ways she expressed her love for people was giving gifts. Oh, she loved to give gifts, which is ironic because she also liked to hang on to things too. She would buy gifts for people so far in advance that she would store it and forget about it. So to my cousins, if you didn't get that N64 accessory for your birthday 25 years ago, you can come pick it up at the house. She would buy gifts for people she didn't even know yet, but figured someone would appreciate it someday. She bought Beanie Babies in the 90s for Megan and I to have a nice nest egg in the future. But to be completely honest, I'm more jealous that she got Bitcoin for her granddaughter. So Ryan, if you want, I'll trade you 2,000 Beanie Babies for a Bitcoin. What do you say? She often gifted her time, whether it was decorating all day at Shanghai or teaching my classmates about Chinese New Year, or even driving down to Los Angeles for a tournament in a convertible while Quincy and I were blasting Contagious. She was always present. Her last gift was to my grandpa, as I'm confident she stayed strong and fought long enough to pass on his actual birthday. Now she's reunited with him and Grammy. Oh, and don't forget about Zena. You know she's right next to her. By her side too. Although she will be missed greatly, her contagious smile, sarcasm, and sassiness lives through me, my sister, and more so in Ryan. And I think if you're here today, you've been impacted by her love, her passion, or her sassiness in some endearing way. Aloha, Mom. We love you. And I'd like to invite Teresa up to say a few words. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Wonderful to see all of you here celebrate Sabrina's wonderful life. I want to give a round of applause to Spencer. He did an amazing job. I wanted to say a few words, and I want to keep it short and sweet so that I can actually hopefully get through it, and that will help me. Again, Teresa Ochoa and Sabrina was my BFF. 32 years ago, we met while our children attended the same elementary school. Even though they were never in the same class, somehow we started a lifelong friendship. As most of you know firsthand, she was very strict and tough in many ways. But more than that, she had a big heart and she liked to have fun. When I think about her, many words come to mind. Sassy, silly, strong, feisty, daring, loyal, giving, loving, and thoughtful. She was always up for anything with the kids. One of her favorite things to do was to go and watch a movie. And along with her and her kids and some of our friends, we would go through to the drive-in movie theater, and we had the best time. Water fights and games, and that was the best part of it, and then, of course, in the movie. Our children spent a lot of time together, swimming at her parents' house, spending the night at each other's houses. Now, as most of you know, Sabrina didn't really cook. And my kids loved going to her house because she had the best food. Frozen burritos, corn dogs, taquitos, canned chips, soda. How could I compete with that? So many memories. One-day trips to the beach, Chippendale dance shows, some of you recall. Lunches, holidays, birthdays, graduations, weddings, birth of grandchildren, death of loved ones. Her family became a part of our family, and our family became a part of hers. She was my sister from another mister. As our children grew up and headed out on their own, we decided that we need to start taking care of ourselves. So we started exercising. Our schedules were compatible. We, would lift light weights, walk, swim, stretch. Sometimes I didn't feel like being there. I didn't feel like going. And many times she didn't want to be there either. But thank God, most of the time, it didn't happen at the same time. So we continued. A lot of times we ended up just venting to each other as we lay there stretching on the floor and supposed to be exercising. Or laughed our butts off about something, silly or funny that had happened to us. But it was the best form of therapy for both of us. There are so many stories I could tell you about Sabrina, but the main thing I want you to know is that I am so grateful to have had such an amazing person come into my life. I look forward to watching her legacy continue in the lives of her children and her grandchildren. Sabrina, with all my love, your BFF.
I'd like to have Judy come on up, please, from the class of 75. She wanted to say a few words on behalf of Central High class of 75. Judy? Thank you so much.
I'm doing this on behalf of Shy. I wasn't especially close to Sabrina, but I viewed what most people viewed was a kind and loving and fun spirit. She was beautiful, intelligent. I kind of viewed her a lot like Princess Grace Kelly, where she found her prince and had beautiful children and a wonderful family. And I only saw Sabrina at class reunions, and when we got our nails done, we just happened to show up at the same time. So I had an opportunity to catch up with her now and then, and I believe her life was what I expected it to be. I thought we knew Sabrina to be beautiful, intelligent, happy, and have a positive attitude on life, always smiling or laughing. And those are the memories I have of Sabrina. I'm not sure exactly when I became a classmate, 7th grade, I think it might have been, but always a positive and happy person. And I'm happy to have known her. I will tell you that I shared with her I was jealous of her. She probably thought it was because she was pretty, but she wasn't vain. But that's why most people would have been pretty. And the boys liked her. Whoa. That's not why I was jealous. When we would dress out for PE in 7th grade, she didn't have to shave her legs because her hair was so blonde. She didn't know what for until I told her. Man, those little things count a lot in life when you're a teenager. Anyway, I know a lot of our classmates have moved away and have other family commitments, but I did feel compelled to say that those are the things we knew of Sabrina, and they'll always be in our hearts, that smile and that positive attitude.
I'd like to invite one of my mom's other best friends, Flo. Should I call you by your real name? Or where's she at? Where's she at? Florence? There she is. I'm sorry, the balloons were in my way. Do I call you by the name I know or not?
That's the only one anyone
So I knew this woman as a young child as Dumb Flo, because she was always getting into my mom into some stuff. So I will hand it off to Dumb Flo.
I don't really know how I got that name, but I was Dumb Flo to everyone. And when the kids were little, that's all they knew me by. As they got older and they did their own thing, then I was called, "You dumb bitch." But I met Sabrina probably 86 after I had Brittany. I would take tons of pictures, go to the photo store that they own, and get them developed constantly. So we formed a relationship that way. Then found out she just lived down the street from me. We started hanging out, and little by little, probably hanging out a little too much. I was always at their house doing stupid stuff. She had a foreign exchange student. The student graduated and needed chaperones to go to Puerto Vallarta. So who do you think she called us? That place was never the same, and neither were we. We did all kinds of stupid stuff together. I worked with her at Valley Medical purchasing files. Don't think I ever got paid for it. I think I went just to hang out and go with her. Edward, I don't know, I need to clear this up with him and find out exactly how it came about, but he said something about a roof. Remember you were redoing a house and there was a roof to get rid of? And you guys had that little old truck. Sabrina and I somehow decided we could throw that roof away and get paid. We didn't realize it was an asbestos roof. It was hot, and it just kept stacking. We drove all over town throwing pieces of that roof. Really never even made enough money for what it took out of us. Then they had raisins. They were gonna roll the raisins right on paper trays, do all that, have the workers, and I'm like, wait, we can do that. It's not that hard. We'll get paid, go to Disneyland, spend the night, do all that. So he let us. We crawled through the vineyards because it was so much work to stand up, roll, stand up, roll. We were there all day long, crawling in the dirt, breathing that junk, and we probably made, at the end of the day, what do you think, maybe $12 a day. Needless to say, we still went to Disneyland, but it wasn't first class. And I'm sure that's why she called me Dumb Flo all the time, but she was a willing participant, and she never said no, and she had that laugh and that giggle about her, and her dad had the same one. And her mom and dad were just, I loved them. And she would always say something to her dad about Dumb Flo, and he always said, Sabrina, don't call her that. And she'd just giggle, because we all knew why I was called Dumb Flo. And we went to your game, Spencer. You wanted to know why we went to your game. Well, I was having surgery the next day in LA, so she took me down there. And we went to your game, and you're right, you didn't play. He sat there and watched. So, she was a super fun girl to be around. and both of us got in all kinds of trouble. Nothing that gets thrown in jail, thank God. But when we went to Mexico, we asked one of the people that lived there, his name was Miguel. He kind of hung out with us. I don't know why. I think it was because I met him. And we asked him one day, stupid me, show us where the nudie beach is. Just joking. He's like, oh, I take you to a special beach. Well, he did, out in the middle of nowhere. And coming back, I mean, we all got sunburned. We were all out there way too long, and we had to walk back, get a bus ride into town. And it just, we thought, well, that's okay. We'll never see this guy again. Probably 5 months later, he called Sabrina and said, I'm in Santa Cruz, come and see me. I guess his sister owned a restaurant there. So she loaded me up in the car, we went to Santa Cruz, and we spent the whole day with them. And it just, she was game for anything, and she really had a big, giant heart. And just love her dearly, and I'm glad that I met her, all of her family. Everybody is just, I love them all, and it's just been great to know her, her friends, and her family. And I love you all.
Joe, you're on up.
Sabrina Jane Soo, Mama Soo to many of you, Mama Grammy to us, and family to us all. And that's how she made us feel, right? Family. Like everything was going to be okay because she had it all under control. She was always in control, always. She made sure we took our lumps, but was always there to make sure that we had resources to clean up our own messes, 100%. She had her backs, man. I remember calling her one time to tell her that Meg was pregnant with Ryan, and I was expecting her to be as excited as I was about the whole situation, and she says, Joe, are you sure you're ready for that? And I was like, well, you know, we got 2 kids already, you know, a third one, what's that? You know, I think we're ready for that. And it wasn't until later that I realized that she meant, was I ready for 18 more years with Megan? Yeah, those girls. I remember calling her. The day that I met her and Ninja, she and Ninja traveled to Marysville to see Megan and get a tour of the restaurant that we both worked at. And though we weren't technically dating yet, I thought it would be, in my infinite wisdom, a good idea to surprise Megan with 24 long-stemmed roses and have them delivered while they were there. Man, 2 words for you. Judgment. Oh my God. Disappointment in her eyes was pretty apparent. It was pretty hilarious. Like Megan had just failed a math test. Or pretty sure she kind of whispered under her breath and called me a guaylo. For any of you who know what that is, it's a derogatory term for a Westerner or a white boy in the Chinese culture. Pretty crazy. But I'm pretty sure I eventually won her over. And how do I know that? I made the will, so I have no idea. But you know, she and I had our own special relationship. I could call her on those occasions where Megan and I weren't seeing eye to eye, and she helped me work through ways to not get cut. That was those phone calls happened a lot more often than I would have liked, but she was always there for me, big time. She cheered me on when I was pushing through Le Cordon Bleu, and made sure to remind me over and over again what a mistake it was to purchase a restaurant. She definitely knew about that. She loved her grandkids, for sure. You know, they'd beg for sushi, and Ninja and her would insist on paying for it. Or Teresa and the Achella family would come and pick the kids up and take them out to the movies and get them all hopped up on ice cream and sodas. And they'd drop them back off, and the kids would do laps around the Soo Manor and, you know, run all that off. And as soon as we got them to the point where the sugar had worn off, Mama Soo would give them drumstick ice creams and they'd dip off to bed. Leave us all with these kids that were just running around in circles. Oh man. The way she took lead on coordinating events was only rivaled by her knack for being on time. You guys all know that. If you were early, you were on time. If you were on time, you were late. And if you were late, you better find her on ride because she's probably leaving without you. Everyone knows that. I heard something the other day, and it kind of made me think of her. The opinion is yours, but the life is mine. And she lived her life that way. She didn't have to answer to anybody, and I really admired that about her. She was my second mom, as I know she was to many of you out there right now. She didn't quite care what people thought of her, and she had a presence that was larger than life. She put many of us in our place and made room in her place for many more of us. Always giving, always loved, always with us, always a cell phone in her boob. We're going to miss her very much. Thank you.
All right, this is what I've been waiting for, that moment of loudness that I talked about, right? So, on behalf of my family, thank you all again for being here to celebrate with us, like a true celebration of passion. We can't express how much support and love we felt throughout or thankfulness for the love and support we felt throughout this difficult time. But it's great to see everyone, obviously under poor circumstances, but I'm glad to know that she's impacted everyone in some way to where you guys came out here on a hot morning. So I appreciate you guys, and on the count of 3, let's everyone stand up. Let's everyone stand up, please. So again, we're gonna give my mom, Sabrina Jane, Mama Soo, the proper send-off by being as loud and cheerful and clapping as possible for a moment of loudness. And it's gonna be about 10 seconds. I'll wave my hand and we'll drop it for when it goes down. But I need full engagement. Like this is what she would want. This is what she would want. Sure. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you all for coming. We'll be here for about 30 minutes to talk and chill with you guys for a little bit. But that'll conclude the celebrations for today. Thank you guys so much. We love you. Thank you. Oh, if you haven't done the thumbprint signing station, we'd love to get your thumbprint and signature as a way to remember who came and whatnot. If you haven't done that yet, but thank you guys again.